And I guess the question of the day is, what led me to Islam? Someone who 4.5 years ago had a different idea of where he was going to be in life. And now I'm here in the masjid speaking in front of my brothers and sisters. I never thought this would happen, ever. So as I was growing up, I grew up in a Christian family, but I say that with some hesitance because my family is really one that believes in God, but not particularly religious. As a kid, I used to go to church. I used to participate in the youth group. Actually, down the street a ways at Glenn Memorial, and I was a Methodist. But really, I just enjoyed being around the people there. I enjoyed the friendship. I enjoyed basically the people more than it was the actual religious aspect of it. And as a child and growing up through high school, I always felt like there was something wrong with aspects of going out to parties and drinking. Like something felt wrong to me about it. You know, even if I went along with people, something didn't seem right. So even in high school, up until I was about 17 years old, I knew nothing formal about Islam. My knowledge was so skewed that I used to think that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was actually what Muslims called Jesus, peace be upon him. So my idea was it was completely wrong, but I never bothered asking anyone because I wasn't very interested. I didn't have any reason to go out and seek another religion because I was happy with who I was. Nothing was wrong in my life. Everything was great. Until high school, 17 years old, I think it was junior year in high school, I actually met a young Muslimah. And I had had Muslim friends at that time, but none of them were really practicing in front of me. I never really saw what Islam actually was. So when I met this young Muslimah, she was also not what I would say very practicing. I didn't really see any actions of Muslims. I didn't really see what Islam was all about. But this person had a significant impact on me. We developed a close friendship. And after some time, I noticed that there were things with her that were uncomfortable, what I would consider to be normal among teenagers. For example, in high school, a lot of people go to prom or a school dance. And for her, that was something that was I could tell that there was a lot of worry or a lot of difficulty. And I didn't really know why. I didn't ask. I thought it had something to do with culture. And eventually, after some months of this friendship, I noticed that she decided that something wasn't right and she didn't want to be as close friends anymore. And this got me thinking. I was wondering, was it cultural? Was it who I am? Is it because I'm white? I don't know what's going on, you know? I thought we were good friends. But I knew that it had to be something religious. And for the first time in my life, I decided to ask, what was that? What is Islam? I never knew anything about it. And so, from there, shortly after, I decided to start looking into the Quran. I bought a translation on my parents' money. I went over to Barnes & Noble with their credit card, got a copy of the Quran, checked the internet, and like any person who doesn't know anything, they got Islam for Dummies. I actually have the book sitting on my shelf at home, which is actually not a bad resource. So I started learning more about Islam, and I came to know a world that was not what I expected. I started learning about the pillars of Islam, which aren't as intuitive to a person. So when someone who is not part of a faith is learning about that faith, the aspects and the importance of salat isn't something that comes to a person where they would say, yeah, that makes sense, that we should be doing that. What made sense to me were the theological and moral teachings of Islam. That I was raised to believe the first commandment that's in the Bible, which is, the Lord your God is one, which is, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So these aspects I kept reading and saying, this is me. This is what I've already believed in my entire life. I also was reading about the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him, and how it says he is just a prophet. He is one of the best men that's ever walked this earth, but he is just a prophet. He's not God. And this resonated with me. This is what I would say to myself, I already believe this. Because as a Christian, I wasn't very into it, but what I really believed was God. It was fitra. I'd always believed in God. Recently, my mom and I were cleaning out the upstairs of our house, and I found a yearbook from preschool in which our teacher compiled random pieces of our lives at that time, and it said there was a conversation between me and my friends of the time, and we were talking about God. And so I know that as a young kid, even in preschool, I believed in God. I continued my learning. I even walked into a Walgreens and saw a woman in hijab, and I approached her, and she asked if I needed help. And I said, yeah, can you tell me where the nearest mosque is? And she just looked at me and, yeah, sure, yeah. And so eventually I made my way to the masjid, asked questions, learned more about Islam, and came to the realization, this is already who I am. I've already believed this for my entire life. I just didn't know what it was called, and I'd never seen it before. They will listen. People don't know what Islam is, they haven't seen it. And they need to see it to become Muslim. That's what I needed. Because